Ms. McCall, you were talking before about the various kinds of employees there are. You mentioned that, there are some slackers, there's some non-slackers. And you mentioned you have 4 boys, and some are slackers and some aren't. I was just wondering, which of your boys are slackers?
The 3-year-old.
The 3-year-old.
He can't pull his own weight yet.
There you
We'll
go.
get there.
All right, sounds good. Now my serious question. Relative to, it seems what you're talking about here is kind of a basic fairness. They're requiring certain things to be done for which there could be significant penalties if you don't put the proper poster up in the right place, the right size, at the right time, et cetera. And it seems like most of the burdens tend to be on the employer. I'd ask any of the panel members if you could maybe go into that a little more detail about what kind of burdens are there on the one side but not on the other side. Where is it unfair? And we can start with you, but anybody who wants to take it on is fine.
The last company I worked for, I worked there 20 years. We had 300 employees. I was an HR director for that company. There is not a site you can go to that gives you all the government postings. There is not a site that says, okay, if you're a small business, you need to post this, 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 and this. There's no blast emails, for better word, that go out and say, hey, just so you know, I realize you're a small business. I realize you're registered in your district or you have your Class A license or whatever. You need to be aware of the sweeping changes that are right before you. There's nothing like that goes out. Even as an HR director, even though I have my license and all that good, there's nothing that goes out to let you know. If there was a website that everyone was aware of that listed new postings that you needed to have up, hey, this one expired, we've got a new minimum wage, we've got some new OSHA law, I think a lot of people would be very happy to post those because they'd be aware of those. I think the biggest fear of small businesses is unaccounted for expenses. Unaccounted for expenses that don't lead to any profitable measure, that are just fines and penalties. I think it would be very helpful and it would lead to a more cohesiveness if everyone had the ability to look to the same place to know what the laws and regulations were.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comment?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I would just like to say I agree that there should be a website where all that information is made available. But I'm also a little confused here is who enforces this poster law? Who comes to your business to find out whether you put the poster up or not? I'm a little confused on that.
Mr. Miller?
I certainly don't know the legal answer to that. I think that, and we discussed that today, where is the hammer for any of us? And I think where it would come from would be a disgruntled employee or employees. They would say, hey, that union poster isn't up there. And then, then they would possibly go to the NLRB or something like that. Ms. Melito obviously is better prepared.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly how you've got it right. Exactly. Yeah, it would be an employee, probably a disgruntled employee, who would learn about the poster and then file an unfair labor practice charge with the NLRB. That's how it would start.
Okay, and that's what I wanted to follow up with at this point, because I've only got a little over a minute time left. If you don't post the signs, and I know you had mentioned that many small businesses obviously don't have an HR department. They're just too small, and some do, but lots of small businesses don't. So for somebody like that who didn't even know about this and didn't have it posted, and an employee or somebody comes up and files an unfair practice against them or whatever they do, what are the potential penalties for that, and what are the potential ramifications to that business if they do have to deal with one of these matters?
Well, certainly as an initial matter, the board would demand that the employer post the poster too, but it would also open the employer up to additional scrutiny too, and the potential for other unfair labor practice charges if there were other things going on in the business that would, employee could argue were infringing on their, the right to concerted activity. So the employee could then, file other complaints too. So it could open up a whole can of worm. And I think upon receipt of ULP, it's very likely the small business owner would quickly call an attorney, so you're looking at additional, potential legal expenses too in defending the claim.
Okay, thank you. And in the last 10 seconds I got, let me just commend the chair on holding this hearing, because at these tough economic times when 70% of the jobs created are created by small businesses. We need to find ways to relieve some of this burdensome regulations and requirements. So my compliments, Mr. Chairman.